so I can put it up on YouTube for who missed it. All right. Let's see what it says about crop over. What is crop over? Crop over is a traditional harvest festival which began in Barbados, having had its early beginnings on the sugarcane plantations during slavery. So you see, they keep bringing it back to slavery and back to Caribbean culture. Original crop over tradition began in 1687 as a way to mark the end of the yearly harvest, but was widespread throughout the region at the time, including in St. Vincent, Trinidad, and Jamaica. All right. As such, it still shares similarities with Carnival in Brazil and Trinidad. Many crop over celebrations were organized and sponsored by planters. Okay, that's the colonizer who used gifts of food and liquor as a means of reinforcing and excusing the continued enslavement of their labor force. However, slaves would also have often unsanctioned fetes that featured singing, dancing, and accompaniment by bottles filled with water, shack shack, banjo, triangle, fiddle, guitar, etc., etc. All right. So again, the point is they're telling you that let's see, it has similarities with the carnival in Brazil and Trinidad, um, and you know, slaves would have unsanctioned fetes, even though it was uh, planned by the planters. Let's see. Um, Other traditions that were later added included climbing a greasy pole, feasting, and drinking competitions. However, with the harsh effects of World War II on Barbados, these annual celebrations came to an end. The Crop Over Festival was first launched on June 1st, 1970, around the same time as the birth of Alison Hines, but was not officially called a festival until 4 years later. Crop Over was revived and organized as a national festival in 74 by local stakeholders, including these people and Livy Burrows, with Barbados Tourist Board as a way to attract more tourists to the island, revive interest in local folk culture. To revive interest in local folk culture. So, according to them, crop over has to do with local folk culture, beginning in June. Crop over now runs until the first Monday in August, when it culminates in the finale, the Grand Cadument. All right, all right. The entire 2 months have a party-like atmosphere with a variety of public and privately held events. Okay. Um, good. So the point is this. They're telling you all these things are similar and all of them are the culture of the so-called Negro, right? Which we know is the biblical Israelite, right? But let's look at the real roots of this thing, right? According to the scriptures and the historical references, right? Okay. So carnival, when you look up the definition, right? Carnival, a period of public revelry at a regular time each year, typically during the week before Lent. This is very important. Carnival is supposed to be Black people's thing, but I tell you, it's typically during the week before Lent in Roman Catholic countries, which are basically all the Caribbean countries, all right? Um, and America claims to be a Christian nation as well. So does the UK, Australia, all these places where Edom rules, involving processions, music, dancing, and the use of masquerade. All right. I like this definition because, it kind of just gives you the overview of basically all the carnivals around the world. All right. So where did this festival come from? Is it the culture of the so-called Negro as taught in our schools, all right, and in our society? Or is there something more sinister going on? All right, we're about to find out. First, we're going to look at the history, right, of the Bacchanal, right? Uh, and this is from this source here. particular source here. Silence in attic, black figure, vase painting. No, that's not what I want. That's for this. Let's see. Yeah. Where's the book? James Edwin Oliver, The Tree of Life, an archaeological study. All right. All right. And also from this book here. Burkett, page 162. All right. In Greek, both votary and god are called Bacchus. So this is from a book called Burkett. All right, on page 162. All right. Or a tract called Burkett. Okay, sometimes these things are just scrolls that they find. In ancient Greek religion and myth, Dionysus, all right, is the god of winemaking, orchards, fruit vegetation, fertility, festivity, insanity, ritual madness, religious ecstasy, and theater. I'm going to read that again. In ancient Greek religion, this particular Dionysus, pictured here, is the god of all of these things. Now, at first glance to this photo, right, does this look like anyone that, or anything that you guys recognize? Does this look like any particular individual or monument, this face here? Anyone want to take a stab at it?
Yes.
What does that look like? This
Statue of
particular,
Liberty.
the Statue of Liberty, exactly, right? And when you do the research, the Statue of Liberty is formed off of Libera, who is the female version of this guy Dionysus, right? But this man looked like exactly like the Statue of Liberty. He's even holding his scroll the same in a similar fashion that the Statue of Liberty is holding her scroll, right? And when we start to read about this man and what he stands for, or rather this false god and what it stands for, you get even more confirmation that America is just the filthiest place on the planet, you know? And in the name of liberty, pure evil is promoted, you know? They have this damn statue at their harbor holding up a torch, right? And hopefully we get to the point, we get to the portion in the study where we're going to see what all these things mean, right? But first and foremost, right there in the harbor in New York, they're representing what? The Bacchanal, and from ancient Greek religion. But wait, I thought Bacchanal was a Caribbean thing. I thought we invented the Bacchanal, right? But right here in the first sentence of the research, we already see that this thing is Greek, you know? It says, is the god of winemaking, orchards, and so on, insanity. Insanity, note these things. Ritual madness, right? Isn't that what we promote in our songs, right? Doesn't Marshall love to say, head mad, and he jumping around the place? Yeah? On those of us who used to go to Caravana, on those our favorite tunes, you know, the wildest ones. What just happened there, man? What I do here? What did I do here? Okay, here we go. All right. Right? We love the mad tunes. The madder the tune, the better. All right. Split in the middle. Make the two touch jiggle, you know, from this Lucian artist, right? The madder the song, a palance, you know, all these things. The madder the song, the more we into it, right? Notice the man is also the god of religious ecstasy and theater, acting, right? Telling lies to the people on stage, right? Which gets into their minds and changes their ideas about literally anything you want to change their ideas about, right? It says he was also known as Bacchus. Uh-oh. Island people invented the bacchanal. This man, Dionysus, was literally known as Bacchus, all right, by the Greeks, a name later adopted by the Romans, all right? Why? For a frenzy he is said to induce called Bacchia. So this false god, through his witchcrafts and enchantments, which is really mind control and seduction, right? Uh, 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 that's basically what it is, right? If you want to ground it, right? Um, he induces a frenzy called Bacchia, right? Right? And we'll go. Let's keep reading because I'm gonna get to this scripture later on anyway. It says, as Dionysius Eleutherios, Eleutherios means the liberator, right? Babe, what did you say this thing look like? The statue of what? Liberty. Right. So Dionysius, Bacchus, the false god, right, is the image of the Statue of Liberty and literally named the Liberator. Now watch this. It says his wine, music, and ecstatic dance. His wine, music, and ecstatic dance, the same features of our carabanas, our carnivals, our Mardi Gras, or so-called or these feasts that our people love to celebrate, right? It says it frees his followers from self-conscious fear and care and subvert the oppressive restraints of the powerful, right? Let's go to Isaiah 32, right? Right, from verse 1, it says, behold, a king shall reign in righteousness, and princes shall rule in judgment. A man shall be as a hiding place from the wind, and a covert from the tempest, and as rivers of water in a dry place, as the shadow of a great rock in a weary land. Now, this is a pretty deep verse. You know, I don't want to go too much into it. We can always talk about it on the side, what exactly it means. I just want to get to the point. And the eyes of them that see shall not be dim, and the ears of them that hear shall hearken. So first of all, remember it says a king is going to reign in righteousness and princes shall rule in judgment. That's talking about Yahweh Shai and us, right? We're going to rule in judgment and Yahweh Shai is going to reign in righteousness, right? Um, it says in verse 4, the heart also of the rash shall understand knowledge, and the tongue of the stammerers shall be ready to speak plainly. And here's what I want. The vile person shall no longer be called liberal, nor the churl, which is the mean-spirited person, said to be bountiful. Okay, so at the time when Yahweh Shai reigns, the vile person will no longer be called liberal. Okay, that will no longer be called the Statue of Liberty, but we will know it for what it is, which is villainy.
I finished it. I finished them.
Good. All right, so go hang out and do what Kate tell you.
All right.
All right, close the door a bit for me, please.
Okay.
Thanks. Right? Oh, right. It says about Bacchus, Thyrsus, sorry, a fennel-stemmed scepter, sometimes wound with ivy and dripping with honey, is both a beneficent wand. It's a wand like the wand of a magician, and a weapon used to destroy those who oppose his cult and the freedoms he represents, right? So his wand is to destroy those who oppose his cult. What's his cult about? Uh, his freedoms. His freedom to do what? Dance ecstatic, drop your self-conscious fear and care, right? And basically, dance around naked in the streets, like him, right? Let me see if I can get this thing here. Excuse me, I'm only showing this for illustrative purposes, but this is what they have this man, like, come on, right? This is the crop, right? This is, sorry, the uncropped, right? This is what Bacchus represents, you know, damn nudity in public, and drunkenness and revelry, as we're gonna see, right? It says, those who partake of his mysteries are believed to become possessed and empowered by the God himself. All right. Which is no God, but rather a spirit. This particular spirit is the spirit that, the Israelite is invoking during Caravana, and Carnival and Mardi Gras and all these things, right? Standing on the road, running around naked, thinking this is our culture, this is our freedom. We were being repressed by the so-called white man who wanted us to just have all our clothes on. What? This never happened. The man sold you naked, right? Love to see nakedness, right? But that's the story we are sold. Nobody asks any questions. They just follow and go jump up in the road with $300 costumes, man. Some people don't pay their rent so they could go to Carnival, right? Some people send their children back to school with a pencil and one notebook because they spend all the money on Carnival, you know? So this man, right, who encourages people to basically just do what they feel like, right? Possesses the minds of our people, man, and the spirits of our people um during these particular festivals. So now let's see what the Most High thinks about what Bacchus represents and is doing, right? Galatians 5, right? Go from 19, it says, now the works of the flesh are manifest, which are these: adultery, fornication, uncleanness, lasciviousness. All right. That's being lusty, right? All you're thinking about is sex all day, right? Which is what Caravana encourages, right? Idolatry, witchcraft, right? Hatred, variance, emulations, wrath, seditions, heresies, right? Envyings, murders, drunkenness, revelings, and such like, meaning things like that. Those are all works of the flesh, right? Of which I tell you before, as I have told you in time past, that they which do such things shall not inherit the kingdom of the Most High, right? And as we do this study, you're going to see the total hypocrisy in the Christian church as they give people license to go and revel and be drunk as much as they want before they come and do what is called penance, which is just to, come and feel sorry. So before you come feel sorry, you go sin it up as much as possible, and God is good with that. 2 thumbs up, you're on your way to the kingdom, right? Absolute madness, you know, right? Then he tell you, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, long-suffering, gentleness, goodness, faith, meekness, temperance. Temperance is self-control, the exact opposite of what Bacchus is pushing. The Most High says, against such, there's no law. So you could never be too loving, too joyous, too peaceful, too long-suffering, too gentle, too good, too faithful, too meek, too self-controlled. The Most High said there's no law against that, right? So watch this. It says wine was a religious focus in the cult of Dionysus and was his earthly incarnation. So the earthly incarnation of Bacchus was wine, right? According to their cult writings, right? Wine could ease suffering, bring joy, and inspire divine madness. Where in the scriptures does the Most High talk about divine madness? Didn't Solomon say, I set my mind to know wisdom and folly, right? Let me see if I could pull that up. Madness and folly. Madness and folly. He didn't put them in the same boat. Madness is madness, folly is folly, righteousness is completely different, right? So how can a God leading you to good encourage you in madness? In fact, in drinking until you become a madman or a madwoman, right? And some people end up stripped down naked and run up and down the place. Some all they have on them is paint from the or oil from the jab jab, nothing on. When they get drunk enough, some people run around naked. You know, Ecclesiastes 1:17, right? Solomon says, and I gave my heart, meaning my mind, to know wisdom and to know madness and folly, two different things. And I perceive that this also is a vexation of spirit. So the brother said, better I'd not even done that, man. I should have just stick to righteousness instead of trying to know righteousness and folly, right? Right? Ecclesiastes 2:12, he says, and I turn myself to behold wisdom and madness and folly. For what can the man do that cometh after the king? Even that which have already been done, right? And then at the end of all the brother's studies, he tell you, fear God and keep the commandments. Let us hear the conclusion of the whole matter. Fear God and keep his commandments, for this is the whole duty of man. So after the man went all the way into folly and all the way into righteousness, he tell you, just don't even bother with the folly, you know? So back to Bacchus. Bacchus it says wine was a religious focus in the cult of Dionysus, which is Bacchus, and was his earthly incarnation. Wine could ease suffering, bring joy, and inspire divine madness. Okay, which there's no such thing as divine madness. The Most High and his angels are the most sensible, non-mad creature beings in the universe. And he calls us to be sober, right? Meaning have a good mind, be level-headed, right? But let's see who calls us towards drunkenness and madness. Habakkuk 2:5, right? Habakkuk 2 and verse 5, it says, yea, also, let me go from, let me see, from 2. And Yahweh answered me and said, write the vision and make it plain upon tables, that he may run that readeth it. For the vision is yet for an appointed time, but at the end it shall speak and not lie. Though it tarry, wait for it. It will surely come. It will not tarry. Behold, his soul which is lifted up is not right in him, but the just shall live by his faith, meaning the most high faith. Yea, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home, who enlargeth his desire as hell, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto him all nations, and heapeth unto him all people. Right? And only one man does that, and that's Esau, the so-called white man. He tells everybody they can come to his nation, but he bringing you there to abuse you, okay, to give you wine, spiritual wine, right? So you can forget all your heritage and culture, and that's in First Maccabees 1 from 41 to 49. He give you the spiritual wine, but he also make you a drunk or a cokehead or a crackhead or these days it's a meth head, right? A workaholic, right? An addict to pornography, right? These are all aspects of his wine, right? The mark of the beast, right? All the man do is teach you how to sin, not how to do righteousness, right? The Most High says he transgressed by wine, and that's a double meaning. And I'll show you guys the scriptures, as we've seen a few times before, but it's good to remember these things, right? He transgressed by wine, that's actual wine, drunkenness, because sure, when you go to the party, even if you went to Caravana, yeah, well, the Edomite there, what's the Edomite doing? Trying to relax and kick his foot up and just have a nice calm time, right? Or when you go to the party, is the Edomite trying to take as many shots as possible so they could turn up loud and get wild on the dance floor, man? I used to be there. I know what I seen. When you see the two Edomite witches come through, they go straight to the bar, lick off as many shots as possible, and then woo! And by that time, they already did some pre-drinking at the apartment, right? In fact, I know me, I didn't know, I didn't do no pre-drinking when I was going to the clubs. I just went to the club and bought my drinks, and then I realized, hey, these people pre-drink and they come here, right? I learned it from the Edomites. So I went and I started pre-drinking too, and I go to the club, I drink 2 drinks, and I don't need to buy a third. You know, like the Most High said, the man is the border of wickedness. You have all the tricks. You know. Anyways, it says here that he transgressed by wine. So let's go to verse 15. Woe unto him that giveth his neighbor drink, that putteth thy bottle to him to make him drunken, also that thou mayest look on their nakedness, right? And as we looked at, I think last week or week before, that nakedness is spiritual and physical, right? You want to look upon their nakedness, but also you want them without their garments, which is the righteousness of saints, right? So he can have you perish in eternal punishment like him. That's his whole goal, right? That's why he come here and invent or push the spirit of Bacchus, you know, or rather the spirit of Satan through Bacchus and the Bacchanal, through Dionysus, and call it liberty, man. Right? Let's get a little proof on that wine being um, teachings. Second Ezra 14:38. Second Ezra 14:38, it says. And the next day, behold, a voice called to me, saying, Esdras, which is Ezra, open thy mouth and drink that uh, I gave thee to drink. Open thy mouth and drink that I give thee to drink. Then opened I my mouth, and behold, he reached me a full cup, which was full as it were with water. So the man said it looked like water, but the color of it was like fire, kind of orangey, you know. And I took it and drank, and when I drank of it, my heart, meaning my mind, uttered understanding, and wisdom grew in my breast. For my spirit strengthened my memory. His memory for what? For the scriptures, right? And my mouth was opened and shut no more. The highest gave understanding unto the five men, right? So his mouth was open and shut no more. Why was his mouth open? Was he spitting out water because the Most High gave him a glass of water to drink? Or was he spitting out juice because the Most High gave him a glass of juice to drink? No, right? He was speaking the word of the Most High. That's why he said his memory was strengthened. Now he remembered the scriptures, right? After the Most High gave him this particular thing to drink. And look what happened. The highest gave understanding unto the five men, and they wrote the wonderful visions of the night that were told. Ezra was telling them the visions that he was having, which they knew not. And they sat 40 days, and they wrote in the day, and at night they ate bread. As for me, I spoke in the day, and I held not my tongue by night. In 40 days, they wrote 204 books, okay? And this 40 days is significant as the same amount of time that Moses went to the mountain to get the law of the Most High the first time. All right. So when you drink what the Most High give you, what you get is the word, which is the law, you know, the law, statutes, and commandments, actually, specifically, right? Because the Most High have laws, statutes, and commandments, and he says you have to do them all, right? Revelation 10:10. Revelation 10:10. And I took the little book out of the angel's hand and ate it up. This is John speaking. And it was in my mouth sweet as honey. And as soon as I had eaten it, my belly was bitter. And he said to me, thou must prophesy, I mean preach, again before many peoples and nations and tongues and kings. All right, so that's plain, right? The transgression by wine represents false doctrine, all right? And false doctrine is not just religious, okay? It's philosophical, it's scientific, right? It's holistic. Esau tells lies about everything. Every single thing Esau tells you, there's lies in it. He does not speak the truth. You have to be able to, through the lens of the Most High, discern truth from lies, right? Because what? He's the father of lies. He don't know how to tell the truth. He doesn't know. He can't do it. Just like the Most High can't lie, this man can't tell the truth, you know? Which is why he tell you walking around naked is liberty. Being a drunk is liberty, right? And there's more that he's all about, right? It says here, festivals of Dionysus, which is Bacchus, included the performance of sacred dramas enacting his myths. Okay, so these are your movies. These are your ancient movies. It used to be theater. You go and you watch the thing live, right? And Israelites sitting down in the crowd there, wanting to be like a Bacchus, man. you know, or wanting to be like one of these people in the movie, right? And wanting to be actors to play these people in the movie, right? When this whole thing is a ritual to an idol, which the Most High say don't involve yourself with, right? A way to cleverly tell lies and brainwash the people, you know. It says the initial driving force behind the development of theater in Western culture. Festivals of Dionysus included the performance of sacred dramas enacting his myths. They are the initial driving force behind the development of theater here in Babylon. That's where it started, right? The cult of Dionysus is also a cult of the souls. Our brothers and sisters are on the streets being sacrificed to the spiritual demon Satan, and they don't even know it. The cult of Dionysus is also a cult of the souls. His maenads feed the dead through blood offerings. His maenads are his followers, and he acts as a divine communicant between the living and the dead. All right, let's go to Revelation 18 and 13. Man, this thing is deep, man. You know, people think this is fun. It's not fun. This is serious, man. You're giving up your soul, to Satan through this spirit, this warlock spirit of seduction, man, through the bacchanal, using the flesh to entice you to kill yourself. And it works beautifully. Why? Because man is proud and vain. Revelation 18, verse 13. I'll go hmm, from 10. Uh, I'll go from, geez. Wow. I gotta go from the top and then I'll skip a couple verses. And after these things, I saw another angel came down from heaven having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit. And don't get twisted, a devil is a deceiver. Babylon, right? America, which includes Canada, is the habitation of liars, deceivers, and the whole of what? Every foul spirit. So if there's a evil spirit, all evil spirits are here, right? And the cage of every unclean and hateful bird, right? For all nations have drunk, all the nations did what? They drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, right? Which means they marry themselves, they join themselves unto Babylon. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And that's plain, we know that, right? In fact, America is the world reserve currency. Everybody holds American dollars because it's considered the strongest currency to hold. Even though 2 days ago they were complaining because their credit rating just went down from 3 star to 2 star because they're falling apart. All praise to the Most High, you know. Wax rich to the abundance of her delicacies. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, Come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her what? Sins. Right? And that ye receive not of her plagues. So what does Babylon offer? Sins. So when you hear about this mark of the beast and not being able to buy and sell, what the Most High say is going on here? For all nations drank the wine of the wrath of her fornication, kings of the earth committed fornication with her. The merchants, the buyers and sellers of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. So if you can't buy or sell, what is this talking about? Right? You as an international merchant, you have to be involved in the sins of Babylon for you to get rich off of her. You got to sign that paper to do them trade deals. That's what they're telling you, right? And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, be not partakers of her what? Sins, that you receive not of her plagues. Her sins have reached unto heaven, God have remembered her iniquities. So I just want to establish that we're talking about Babylon here. Now, watch what she sells. From 11, the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth her merchandise anymore. So that scripture is going into the merchants of the earth, that whole thing about buying and selling, right? Nobody buyeth her merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold, silver, precious stones, pearls, fine linen, purple, silk, scarlet, thyine wood, all manner of vessels of ivory, all manner of vessels of most precious wood, brass and iron and marble, cinnamon, odors, ointments, frankincense, wine, oil, fine flour, wheat, beasts, sheep, horses, and chariots. Now, this is not just horses and chariots, like actual horses and chariots as they used to sell from back in the day, but these are also vehicles. You understand? And slaves. So the merchants are wailing because they can no longer buy slaves from America. They bought and sold our people from America, first in the flesh, now they buy and sell them in the spirit with these record deals and movie contracts. Right? And the men especially will tell you, hey, listen, man, you gotta put on a dress to make it in Hollywood. They tell you there's gatekeepers. You gotta perform homosexual acts to get into the elite status in America, man. In these people industries, Lord knows what the women have to do. Probably gotta stay there and sleep with an old Edomite and do Lord knows what else, man. You know, slaves. They're gonna be mad that they can't buy slaves anymore from America. And lastly, souls of men, which relates back to what we were looking at here as far as Bacchus is concerned, right? The cult of Dionysus or Bacchus is also a cult of souls. And America sells souls, right? His maenads or followers, usually women, feed the dead through blood offerings. Oh man, and he acts as a divine communicant between living and the dead. So let's go see where the Most High mentioned their blood feasts. Okay, Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 2, is it? 12, chapter 12. Right, chapter 12 and verse 5. It says, for it was thy will to destroy by the hands of our fathers both those old inhabitants of thy holy land, which is the Canaanites, the Hamites, was the Most High will to destroy them, whom thou hatest for doing most odious works of witchcrafts and wicked sacrifices. That's why God hated them, right? And took them out of the Holy Land, right? He said they were doing most odious works, the worst of them, of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices, right? Uh, Extremely unpleasant, repulsive works, right? You know, um, repulsive works of witchcraft and wicked sacrifices. And also those merciless murderers of children and devourers of man's flesh and the feasts of blood. They're feasts of blood, you know. They're murdering of children. They're eating people with their priests out of the midst of the idolatrous crew and the parents that killed with their own hands souls destitute of help. And that's babies they were killing, right? These Hamites were doing that, so the Most High hated them and said, kill every last one of them that's in this land here. All of them, kill them all, right? Right? And here we are celebrating that through the Bacchanal. Says he is sometimes categorized as a dying and rising god. Here's the Bacchanal below. Isn't this basically what Carabana look like? I mean, minus the actual penises, right? Let me see if I can pull something up here if this thing will actually work. Everyone can see that?
Con.
There's only a slight difference, right? For in the name of probably just not getting arrested, right? Of how they have our people on the road, right? What's the difference between this and this? Sorry, this. Oh gosh, come on, man. What y'all doing? There we go. The difference between this and this is about I don't know 4 square inches of cloth, man. You know. And this here, this on the far left, that's Bacchus himself. And the rod that he's holding with that kind of flower at the top, fennel it's called, I believe, at the top, looks similar to the torch that the Statue of Liberty holds, right? To me, you know. All right. So there's a historian named Livy that gives some accounts about this Bacchanal, right? Because this thing actually became a big problem in Rome, all right? It says, Livy, the principal Roman literary source on the early Bacchanalia, as he reports a major political incident Livy, the principal Roman literary source on the early Bacchanalia, as he reports a major political incident involving one form of the cult, right? So he's reporting on a major political incident, right? He names Pacula Ania, a companion priestess of Bacchus, as the founder of a private unofficial Bacchanalia cult in Rome. Based where? At the Grove of Stimula. Why is that important? We're going to see just now. Where the western slope of the Aventine hill descends to the Tiber. So if we remember anything about our ancestors, they always had problems worshiping Baal and the groves, right? 2 Kings 17. And they rejected his statutes from verse 15, and his covenant that he made with their fathers, and his testimonies which he testified against them, and they followed vanity. I wonder if that's happening today. And became vain, and went after the heathen that were round about them, concerning whom Yahweh had charged them that they should not do like them. And they left all the commandments of Yahweh their God, and made them molten images, even 2 calves, and made a grove, and worshiped all the stars of heaven, and served Baal. Right? And how do you show worship to the stars of heaven? Our people are out here talking about how they are Leo and Capricorn and Cancer and all kind of star sign, right? And looking to see what their life is gonna be like based on divination and observing of times and the worship of celestial bodies, right? Which these people who write these things, that's what they believe in. That's why they are the priests of these particular things. Diviners, soothsayers, right? So Israel made a grove and worshiped all the hosts of heaven and served Baal. All right. They caused their sons and daughters to pass through the fire and use what? Divination and enchantments, and sold themselves to do evil in the sight of Yahweh to provoke him to anger. Right? When you show up on the road with just a panty and a bra on, you're using divination and enchantments. You know, when you are making tunes, telling your people about splitting in the middle and making the two torch jiggle, you're using these damn enchantments and witchcrafts, right? Putting spirits on your people, spirits of lasciviousness, fornication, adultery, right? And all manner of wicked homosexuality, right? Lust, and all manner of wickedness. Drunkenness, deep sleep. Okay. Let's look at another scripture on Baal and the groves. 21, and I believe it's 3. Yeah. Manasseh was 12 years old when he began to reign, and reigned 50 and 5 years in Jerusalem. And his mother's name was Hephzibah. And he did that which was evil in the sight of Yahweh, after the abominations of the heathen, whom Yahweh cast out before the children of Israel. Right? For he built up, and notice this is the abominations of the heathen, right? For he built up high places which Hezekiah his father had destroyed, and he reared up altars for Baal. Back to Baal again. And there's a reason that Israel kept going back to the worship of Baal. I have it later on in the study, but basically what it is Baal has a similar image to the Most High. You have the beard, you have the long robe, right? But Baal have 2 horns in his head. two curly horns in his head, right? And Israel had already uh, loved this whole calf worship. So a man cow was very interesting to them. And there was an image made of Baal, many images, many statues that they could bow down and worship. They could bow down and worship the statues, right? And that was a problem, as we will see in the scriptures, because the Most High say, hey, listen, man, these people are making an image and bowing down and worshiping the image. Moses, go look after these people, man. They've done gone off already. I told them don't make no images to worship, right? So he read up altars for Baal and made a grove, as did Ahab, king of Israel, right? So both Manasseh and Ahab involved in the same folly and worship all the hosts of heaven, the stars again, star signs, 12 tribes of Israel and 12 stars of Satan, and worship all the hosts of heaven and serve them. And he built altars in the house of Yahweh, of which Yahweh said in Jerusalem, I will put my name. And he built altars for all the hosts of heaven in the two courts of the house of Yahweh. This man's a madman. I don't want to see what's going to happen to Manasseh, right? And what's already happening to him in the spirit realm. Okay, Bacchus have these same uh, features of the grove, that Israel was dealing with, you know. Why? Because nothing these Greeks do actually come from them. They have the closest relationship with Ham, right? And most of their culture comes from Ham. Most of their culture comes from Ham. Because remember, from very early, when Cain killed Abel. When Cain left the garden, he took wives of what? Ham, right? And all throughout history, you keep seeing Esau and Ham, bosom buddies, you know. That's why up to this day, he still have Ham symbols on his money, right? He still take his 365-day year from Ham, right? Uh, I don't want to get into that, get sidetracked, but yeah. The Egyptian, Ham, used to have 360 days. Then he made up a creation myth and added 5 days to the year. He used to do his year used to be 36 parts of 10 days, 36 10-day weeks. That's how Ham used to pass his year, right? What was that really? That was a corruption of what his father would have taught him, right? Um, Abraham. Wait, it's Abraham. Who was the father here? Shem, Ham, and Japheth father is Abraham, no? Noah. Sorry, I said Abraham. Noah, right? Ham would have gotten the right information, 360 days for the year from Noah. And because he wanted to go do his own thing, I said, you know what, I'm going to make it 36 weeks with 10 days each. I'm going to do my own thing, right? Then I'm going to invent my creation myth and base it on what I've already learned from my dad, right? And add these 5 days, right? Because in his creation myth, um, you know, the gods were not allowed to be born on any day of the year, and so somehow one of their gods magically created 5 extra days, and so we have 365 days of the year, right? And Esau took that and ran with it and came up with mathematical formulas to tell you the year is actually 365 days. What a load of baloney, right? Anyway, moving on. Couple more facts about the Bacchanal. It says Livy, this historian, claims the earliest version as open to women only, the earliest version of Bacchanalia, and held on 3 days of the year in daylight, while in nearby Etruria, north of Rome, right, a Greek of humble origin, versed in sacrifices and soothsaying, had established a nocturnal version of the festival, basically, right? He had added wine and feasting to the mix, and thus acquired an enthusiastic following of women and men. All right. Livy says that Pecula Ania corrupted Rome's unofficial but morally acceptable. That doesn't mean it was right, it was just acceptable. Said this woman, Pecula Ania, corrupted Rome's unofficial but morally acceptable Bacchic cult by introducing the Etruscan version. All right. Now, don't get tricked with all of these things Esau is calling himself. When he tell you Etruscan, Esau is not the original Etruscan. Okay, he just lived there. He thief the people land, right? And in some cases, well, he thief their land and incorporate with their culture, and then tell you he's from there. But he's from Mount Seir, right? That's what it means when it says you don't keep at home in Habakkuk chapter 2, right? Esau was given Mount Seir, right? And that's all over the scripture. You can look it up. Okay, Livy says that Pecula Ania corrupted Rome's unofficial but morally acceptable Bacchic cult by introducing the Etruscan version, with 5 always nocturnal cult meetings a month, right? Open to all social classes, ages, and sexes. Okay, so the Bacchanalia that Pecula Ania started throwing, was open to all rich and poor, all ages, and all sexes, right? Starting with her own sons, the new celebrations and initiations featured wine-fueled violence among all ages and sexes, brothers and sisters. The Bacchanal, and is this not happening today? Don't we have a Bacchanal for the children? Somebody help me, please. Don't we have a Bacchanal for the children? Hmm? Family, do we have a Bacchanal for the children or not?
Yeah,
Right?
kitties.
Right. Kiddies Carnival. Right? And in the islands, I can tell you, everybody's there, all in the same place. Many a night, I was up late as a child with big party going on around me. And I'm trying to sneak into the big people section upstairs. They only had certain section you couldn't go. And then eventually they had the whole thing open to everybody. So I'm a little youth in the dance hall. I can barely see anything but, people whining in a corner. And I myself looking for a wine in the party with the elder, and I'm probably like 10, you know. This is an old bag of tricks, used to destroy the Israelite, right? And really the minds of all people on the earth, right? Because what will Satan do? He's the border of wickedness. He has to promote sin. He has to give you his mark, his mind. You have to do his deeds. That's his job, to entice you to do that. So this is not new. None of this is new. And none of this belongs to us. What belongs to us are the scriptures and righteousness. That's what belongs to us, pursuant to Romans 9, verse 1 to 4. Right? It's in the book of Deuteronomy as well. You know, it's all over the place. I like this particular scripture. Can't remember exactly where it is. Yeah, Deuteronomy 33 and 4. Moses commanded us a law, even the inheritance of the congregation of Jacob. That's your inheritance, man. Not carnival, not bacchanal. That's our inheritance. The law of the Most High. Righteousness, holiness, peace, love, joy, goodness, faith. Livy says that Pacula Annia corrupted Rome's unofficial but morally acceptable Bacchic cult by introducing the Etruscan version, with 5 always nocturnal cult meetings a month, open to all social classes, ages, and sexes, starting with her own sons. The new celebrations and initiations featured wine-fueled violence and violent sexual promiscuity, in which the screams of the abused were drowned out by the din of drums and cymbals. Yeah, that? There's rape going on there. Right? Fueled off of drunkenness. Right? Which your boy Dionysus says is liberty. And America agrees because they put up the statue of either him and or his woman in their harbor. How many of our sisters do we think get raped at these Mardi Gras and carnivals every year? And we don't hear about it. How many children are abducted, brothers killed? How much adultery? How much fornication? And Lord knows what else, right? How many blood feasts are fulfilled with those bodies from the Bacchanal every year? Who reports these things? My God tells me it happens, so I know it does. Reading on, Livy also claims that while the cult held particular appeal, this is important to those of uneducated and fickle mind. This is who they were targeting, such as the young plebeians, which are the peasants. So young people, of which I was one who fell victim, poor people, of which I was one who fell victim, women, and men most like women. So homosexuals. Most of the city's population was involved. Most of the city's population was involved, just like today. And even Rome's highest class was not immune, just like today. Right? So Carnival has always preyed on women, homosexuals, and the poor. And I will add, you know, and has always been to open to the rich and depraved. Right? Let's look at a couple of scriptures on that. Let me get Psalms 10. Right? All right. I'll go from verse 4. The wicked through the pride of his countenance will not seek after God. God is not in all his thoughts. Right? His ways are always grievous. Thy judgments are far above out of his sight. As for all his enemies, he puffeth at them. He hath said in his heart, I shall not be moved, for I shall never be in adversity. That's what Esau says. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit, and fraud. Under his tongue is mischief and vanity, emptiness. He sitteth in the lurking places of the villages. In the secret places doth he murder the innocent. His eyes are privily, meaning privately, set against the poor. His eyes are privately set against the poor. Right? That's why they went and opened this thing to poor people and say, everybody come and let's mix it up. It's an old trick. It's an old trick. Alexander the Great used it, and they use it every day over and over. In your advertising, they tell you we are all one. Let's all come together. It's in the advertising, it's in their books, it's everywhere. That's the agenda. Let's be cosmopolitan. Let's melt the pot. Let's make a metropolis. Right? Is it good? No. His eye is set against the poor. He's murdering the innocent. That's the purpose of these things. Right? Let's go to Wisdom of Solomon. I think it's 2. Yeah. Wisdom of Solomon 2. Right? And I'll go from verse 1. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. Saba, take that bag out of here, please, because I don't need you coming in and disturbing me all the time. Take the bag out. Saba, just take your knapsack. Yeah, and bring it with you. Thank you very much. For the ungodly said, reasoning with themselves, but not aright, our life is short and tedious, and in the death of a man there is no remedy. Neither was there any man known to have returned from the grave. For we are born at all adventure, and we shall be hereafter as though we had never been. For the breath in our nostrils is as smoke, and a little spark in the moving of our heart. So Esau has the YOLO mindset, right? Which being extinguished, our body shall be turned into ashes, and our spirit shall vanish as the soft air. You have another thing coming, but and our name shall be forgotten in time, and no man shall have our works in remembrance. Our life shall pass away as the trace of a cloud, and shall be dispersed as a mist that is driven away with the beams of the sun, and overcome with the heat thereof. For our time is a very shadow that passeth away, and after our end there is no returning. That's what you think. For it is fast sealed, so that no man cometh again. This is the thought of the wicked, the most I tell you. Come on, therefore, let us enjoy the good things that are present. YOLO, let us speedily use the creatures, like as in youth. Let us fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and let no flower of the spring pass us by. And this is kind of deep because these festivals that Esau was celebrating and really took from the Hamites, they're all spring festivals, right? They a lot of they're basically spring summer festivals, right? The end of spring, the beginning of summer, right? But the point is, the Bacchanal was set up to prey upon women, homosexuals, and the poor, right? And Esau has the attitude to prey upon these people. He said, let us speedily use the creatures as in youth. When you're young, you don't care about nobody's feelings. You're just doing your thing, right? Especially if you're unrighteous, right? You have a little bit more self-control if you're righteous, right? But you have to fight certain demons in your youth, right? Esau said, I ain't fighting no demons, man. I am the demon. Let's speedily use the creatures Like when we were young, man. You know, let's fill ourselves with costly wine and ointments, and don't let no opportunity to party your life away pass by. Right. So moving on, it says an ex-initiate and prostitute named Hispala Facenia, fearing the cult's vengeance for her betrayal, but more fearful for her young upper-class client and protege. Okay, so a prostitute, she's about to spill the beans, told all the consul Postumius, told all to the consul Postumius, and a consul is one of the political leaders in Rome, who presented it to a shocked Roman Senate as a dire national emergency. Okay, so this thing was so bad, it was presented as a dire national emergency. We need to stop this bacchanal, right? Once investigations were complete, the Senate rewarded and protected informants and suppressed the cult throughout Italy, or rather forced its reformation. Okay, this is the key, in the course of which 7,000 persons were arrested and most of them were executed. All right. So they forced the reformation of the bacchanal, right? And the bacchanal was reformed until it got adopted by Christianity, believe it or not, right? I will look at a little bit of what that looked like. Right? And notice, I just wanted to make a note here. So it was a dire emergency, so they forced its reformation, right? When we look at Carabana here in Canada, didn't the government take over Carabana, the city? Didn't they take over Carabana after a certain number of years? Because they said too much raucous behavior, especially at Young and Dundas. Didn't they start dispatching hundreds of police officers during Carabana? And didn't they eventually take over Carabana and rename it Toronto Carnival? Family, did they do this or am I dreaming?
Yeah, yeah.
Right? So it's funny because you know, the scriptures tell you the Most High requireth that which is past, right? And all these ancient things are happening again in our time. As Sirach 3:15, that which has been is now. The thing that has been, the blood feast, all these things, they're happening now. And that which is to be have already been. And God requireth that which is past. Ecclesiastes 3:15. Right? So this just shows us that Caravana, Carnival, Mardi Gras, all these things operate in the same spirit of Bacchus, of the Bacchanal, of sin, of the mark of the beast. Right? The same spirit from Rome, from ancient Babylon. There's even a festival that it's an unnamed festival, but it was very similar to Carnival in ancient Babylon, right? And in ancient Egypt, um, Carnival took many of its rituals from ancient Egypt, including the procession of the float, okay, which is basically taken from a procession that they used to have to Isis, you know. So let's see when Carnival got how and when Carnival got incorporated into Christianity, right? So far, I hope everyone can see that this Bacchanal is the same thing as Carnival. It's the same spirit, same people partying naked, all kind of man and woman there. It's wild and out of control, right? And it holds the same principles of drunkenness, exposing yourself, all of these things, right? So let's see how this thing turned into Carnival. So according to the book Humor and Humanism in the Renaissance, on page 507, it says, gradually ecclesiastical authority began to realize that the desired result could not be achieved by banning carnival, which eventually led to a degree of Christianization of the traditions. So they couldn't ban carnival, they couldn't ban the bacchanal, so they Christianized it. I'll say that again. They couldn't ban the bacchanal, so they Christianized it. They then became part of the liturgical and the liturgy, sorry, and the liturgical year. And all this goes back to the principal Christian church, which is the Roman Catholic Church. Okay. In the Middle Ages, the year 476 to 1450, between these ages, Carnival and Lent were both necessary, inevitable episodes in the eternal cycle of the church year. All right. So between these ages, all right, after the what do we call it? I want to say the Bronze Age, classic, after the classical age. During the Middle Ages, it says Carnival and Lent were necessary, right? To do what? To help them control people, right? Can't ban it. Let's Christianize it because they will rebel if we try to ban their sinful indulgences. Okay. So it says here, traditionally in the days leading up to Lent, merrymakers would binge on all the rich, fatty foods, meat, eggs, milk, lard, and cheese that remained in their homes in anticipation of several weeks of eating only fish and different types of fasting, right? The word carnival, another common name for the pre-Lenten festivities. So what is carnival? It's a name for the pre-Lent festivities, tying carnival directly into Christianity. So the bacchanal came down as carnival. It says it also derives from this feasting tradition. Okay, so carnival comes from what? The feasting tradition that they just mentioned above, a pre-Lent feasting tradition. In medieval Latin, carnivarium means to take away or remove meat, from the Latin carnum for meat, right? So what do you call it? Carnival is really a name for the pre-Lent festivities of the Roman Catholic Christian Church, right? Meaning to take away meat. That's what carnival is. Who knew that? I didn't know that, all right? And as we will see, the period was basically from December until the jump up, the Lent, sorry, Lent, the beginning of Lent, right? Let's read on. Pre-Lent festivities, right? Or the carnival, right? Also called Shrovetide, Shrovetide, right? They keep changing the names of these things, right? To keep you guessing, right? But we can read and we have understanding from the Most High, all praises. The main events typically occur during February or early March for the pre-Lent festivities or Shrovetide. During the period historically known as what? Shrovetide or pre-Lent. Carnival in the Middle Ages took not just a few days, but almost the entire period between Christmas and the beginning of Lent. See that? In those 2 months, Christian populations used their several holidays as an outlet for their daily frustrations, right? And if you guys know anything about Trinidad Carnival, it basically starts from December. Can anyone confirm that for me? Anybody know when Trinidad Carnival season start? From what I remember, it's December, right? It says Carnival typically involves public celebrations, including events such as parades, public street parties, and other entertainments, combining some elements of a circus. Elaborate costumes and masks allow people to set aside their everyday individuality and experience a heightened sense of social unity. So here come the unity again, right? First Maccabees 1:41. Right? Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be what? One people. And everyone should do what? Leave his laws. Right? Set aside your everyday individuality. Right? So all the heathen agreed. The heathen didn't have no problem, according to the commandment of the king. And look, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion. Not few, many. And sacrifice unto idols like Bacchus and profane the Sabbath like they're doing today. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities that they should follow the strange laws of the land. Right? And when colonization spread across the world, colonization brought with it all its festivities, including the Bacchanalia or Carnival. Did the Most High say, set aside your everyday individuality and experience a heightened sense of social unity? No. Right? 2 Corinthians 6. Right? 2 Corinthians 6. And let me see, I want from 14. It says, be ye not unequally yoked together with unbelievers. For what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? So this is for the people that say, oh, I'm just going down there to watch. I'm not participating. The Most High said, what fellowship have righteousness with unrighteousness? What communion have light with darkness? And what concord have Christ with Belial? Right? Or what part have he that believeth with an infidel? Right? And what agreement have the temple of the Most High with idols like Dionysus, like who is Bacchus? Right? For ye are the temple of the living God, as God have said, I will dwell in them and walk in them, and I will be their God, and they shall be my people. Right? Wherefore, come out from among them. This is what I wanted. Come out from among them, and be ye separate, saith Yahweh, and touch not the unclean thing, and I will receive you, and will be a father unto you, and you shall be my sons and daughters, saith Yahweh Almighty. All right. So the Most High didn't say set aside your everyday individuality and experience a heightened sense of social unity. The Most High tell you separate yourself. Come out from among them and be separate. You know, come and keep your Shabbat while they go and revel and kill themselves. And all praise to the Most High for everyone doing that and everyone who will do that. Participants, moving on, often indulge in excessive consumption of alcohol, meat, and other foods that will be foregone during upcoming Lent. Okay. Remember, this is happening in the year 476 to 1450. But yet we are told that we invented Carnival and it's our thing. But before colonization even happened, the Christian was already doing this. Traditionally, the Christian was already indulging in excessive consumption of alcohol, meat, and other foods, right? That you have to give up during Lent. Right? Traditionally, the feast also was a time to indulge in sexual desires. This was already around. The feast also was a time to indulge in sexual desires, just like today, which was supposed to be suppressed during the following period of fasting, right? So they're basically saying, okay, well, sin it up as you get ready for fasting. Make sure you consume that alcohol in excess, right? Make sure you do what you got to do sexually. If you want to be a buller man or you want to try some bullying, try it during this time, right? Because after this is Lent and you got to fast, right? And after Lent, you can go back to your same filthy life until next Lent again or next Carnival again. Carnival season, right? Says other common features of Carnival include mock battles such as food fights, expressions of social satire, which we see in our Juves, mockery of authorities, which we see in our Juves, or rather what they say is our Juves, okay? So where else do we see these same features, expressions of social satire and mockery of authorities? We see it in the Saturnalia festival of ancient Rome, right? And just reading about it a bit here, it says, in Lucian Saturnalia, it is Cronos himself who proclaims a festive season when it's lawful to be drunken and slaves have license to revile their lords, right? This is so off because the Most High tell you don't revile the leader of your people. But they say, hey, you know what? During Carnival, it's okay. Go ahead, right? So Carnival has features of this ancient festival, Saturnalia, right? Where they worship idols, right? Not just any idols, but Baal Hamon, right? Because Kronos goes, Saturnalia uh, uh, goes back to the worship of Saturn. Saturn's equivalent is Kronos. Kronos equivalent is Baal. So this all goes right back to the worship of Baal, who I told you guys earlier looks similar to the image that we know of the Most High. So it was easy for Israel to go off worshiping a damn stone, right? Because they were already shaky, right? This is the same Baal that Yahweh punished Israel for worshiping, right? Excuse me. Here's the description of Baal. Baal Hamon, properly Baal Hamon or Baal Hamon, It's really Haman. Meaning Lord Haman was the chief god of Carthage. Okay, chief god of this Hamite city. He was a weather god, right? Considered responsible for fertility and vegetation, and esteemed as what? King of the gods. So you see how Israel could go off, right? They're like, oh, it's the same God. You know how we love to be unified with everybody except our own people, right? So Baal Haman was esteemed as king of the gods, and the Most High is the actual only God. You know, if you want to really get into it, he is king of the gods, meaning king of the rulers, because we are gods. Yahweh Shai is a god, and the Most High is the ruler of all the gods, the real gods, not the ones that they made up, right? To entice you with the spirits of liars, which are spirits of devils. Says he was depicted as a bearded older man, excuse me, with curling ram's horns, right? And this is why, you know, we went off so terribly worshiping Baal, right? So this the features that the feature of marking authorities comes from the Saturnalia festival of ancient Rome, which in turn comes from the worship of Baal, right? Now watch this. What does it say? Oh yes, okay, watch this. Watch this this feature of Baal. Cult and attributes. The worship of Baal Hamon flourished in Phoenicia, in the Phoenician colony of Carthage. His supremacy among the Carthaginian gods is believed to date to the 5th century BC. After relations between Carthage and Tyre were broken off at the time of the Battle of Himera. Baal Kaman was known as the chief of the pantheon of Carthage and the deity that made vegetation grow. You see that? Don't we give the Most High praise for the harvest? Isn't our whole religion around the cycles of the earth? This is why Israel used to go off with this damn Baal, because they were so desperate for an image to worship. Right? As with most deities of Carthage, he was seemingly propitiated with child sacrifice. Propitiated. Let's see here. Pleased, okay? He was pleased by child sacrifice, likely in times of strife or crisis, or only by elites, perhaps for the good of the whole community. And this practice was recorded by Greeks and Romans, but dismissed as propaganda by modern scholars. That's until archaeologists unearthed urns containing the cremated remains of infants in places of ritual sacrifice, okay? But despite that, some scholars still believe that this confirms the accounts of child sacrifice, while others insist they are remains of children who died young. Okay, so some people still doubting that this man was all about child sacrifice. But we know from the scriptures, Baal is all about child sacrifice. You know? We know that Baal is all about child sacrifice. Right? And let's prove that. Let's see. Psalm 106 and 38. Let's see here. They did not destroy the nations concerning whom Yahweh commanded them, but were mingled among the heathen and learned their works as they served their idols, which were a snare unto them. And the Most High told us, if we don't kill these people, that we will worship their gods, and it's gonna be a snare to us. And then it came to pass. Yea, they sacrificed their sons and daughters unto devils, and shed, which are liars, right? These guys made up all these gods again to put spirits on various spirits on people. Yea, they sacrifice their sons and daughters unto devils, and shed innocent blood, even the blood of their sons and of their daughters, whom they sacrifice unto the idols of Canaan, and the land was polluted with blood. Note it says, we sacrifice our children unto the idols of Canaan. And that's who Baal is. Baal is an idol of Canaan, and we'll see here. 2 Kings 16, 2-3. 2 Kings 16. "12 years old was Ahaz when he began to reign, and reigned 16 years in Jerusalem, and did not that which was right in the sight of Yahweh his God, like David his father, but he walked in the way of the kings of Israel. Yea, and made his son to pass through the fire." He made his son to pass through the fire. It's the same Baal Haman, according to the abominations of the heathen, the Canaanites, which we just looked at, whom Yahweh cast out from before the children of Israel. That was literally their land. And he sacrificed and burnt incense in high places and on the hills and under every green tree. That's the groves. Okay. Ezekiel 22:11. Ezekiel 22. 22 and 11. "And one have committed abomination with his neighbor's wife, another have lewdly defiled his daughter-in-law, and another in thee have humbled his sister, his father's daughter. Uh, in that they have taken gifts to shed blood, thou hast taken usury." Yeah, I don't think this is what I want. Yeah, that's not what I want. That is definitely not what I wanted. One second. "And Ahab made a grove, and Ahab did more to provoke Yahweh, the God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel that were before him." Before that, it says, okay, this is what I want, 32 to 33. What happened here? From 31, "And it came to pass, as if it had been a light thing for him to walk in the sins of Jeroboam, the son of Nebat, that he took to wife Jezebel, the daughter of Ethbaal, king of the Zidonians, who are Hamites, and went and served Baal and worshipped him. And he reared up an altar for Baal in the house of Baal, which he had built in Samaria. And Ahab made a grove And Ahab did more to provoke Yahweh, God of Israel, to anger than all the kings of Israel that were before him. Right? You see how serious this is before the Most High, and it's serious because that's the first commandment. The Most High tell you, "Thou shalt have no other gods before me," man. You know, meaning, don't bring no other gods in front of him. There's no other God. He's the only one. But yet we insistent on worshiping wood and stone. You know, consciously and unconsciously, right? Hosea 11:2, as they called them, so they went from them. They sacrificed unto Baalim and burned incense to graven images. See that? Right? This is proving what I was telling you guys about. Just our people just want to worship statues, man, like everybody else. You know? And Baalim, I want you to notice, is a plural for Baal, right? So there were many, many lords. That this word translates to Lord, right? Which is why the damn Masoretes put Lord all over the Bible and took the Most High name out, because they're devils. They can't stand to say the Most High name. So they put Lord everywhere that there was Yahweh, and they tell you it's out of piety, but it's not, you know? Right? So the features of Carnival, the expression of social satire, the mockery of authorities, came from Saturnalia, right? Which is the worship of Saturn or Kronos or Baal. And Israel know very well about the worship of Baal, right? We spent a lot of time doing it in the past. And look, we still doing it today by stripping our clothes naked and go and jump up on the road uh, in drunkenness, right? In violence, right? In lasciviousness, right? In deceit, right? And all manner of indecency, you know, right? One of the other features of um, Carnival for the Edomite, before he even brought this to the Caribbean, was they had costumes of what they call grotesque body. Okay, they display exaggerated features such as large noses and bellies and mouths. Who has seen this at their Juve? I've seen it, especially in St. Lucia. Phalli, which are penises. I saw that as a youth in St. Lucia. People make big paper penis and walk around during carnival, the music playing, and they have a penis big like their body in front of them, right? And it's all fun and games, right? Or elements of animal bodies, depictions of disease and gleeful death, which I've seen, and general reversal of everyday rules and norms. Okay, and you will see, I think I have some links to show that this still happens today. In Martinique, during the carnival, the women dress as men and the men dress as women, right? And in Brazil, the trannies come out in droves during carnival because, you know, at this time, uh, it's a great time to deceive, right? Because it's all about masquerade, and you know, nobody knows the difference because they drunk, number one, right? And everybody wearing masks, right? And not really minding their business, right? And people are open in the night, as the Most High tell you, the sinners come out in the night, right? Paraphrasing greatly, right? So they, you know, it's a good time for them to apply their trade, their abominable trade, right? So all these features are the things that the Edomite had in place, so you could sin it up before you go say you're sorry um, at the beginning of the season of Lent, right? Let me see here. Okay, so a couple more minutes, then we're done. So remember I was mentioning that they have a everyday rule and role reversal during the um the carnival. Here's where it is. I want to show you guys this. Right, this is that festival. The I guess the parade in Martinique, if I recall correctly. Yeah, anyone in the French Caribbean islands of Martinique or Guadeloupe during the carnival festivities will witness a unique and wonderfully subversive tradition, le mariage burlesque. As a legacy of the refusal to assimilate into French model of marriage and family, the mariage burlesque parodies the idealized fiction of a heterosexual nuclear family unit. Each year on Lundi Gras, the first Monday of Carnival, that's Big Monday, men and women perform each other's conjugal role by cross-dressing as their gender does, right? And they got the kids all involved in this, and it's supposed to be all fun and games. Absolutely, absolutely disgusting and madness. The spirit of madness, which the bacchanal, which Bacchus brings, right? Part of the spirit of madness that Bacchus brings, right? And I think this is the Brazilian. There we go. Why do Brazilian cross-dressers love the carnival holiday? Cross-dressing is not something that happens as an isolated event. Our sisters come from different parts of the world. They call them the men sisters, but we have a universal language for expressing our feminine side. Now, when it comes to cross-dressing in South America, Brazilian Carnival holiday is a big event, draws many members from LGBTQ. How did cross-dressing become a part of it? I'm not going to read all of this. Just know that it's huge, right? And you can go check this out yourself. I can post the link to the document. So the carnival mask, right? Where does that come from? 16th century, the Italian tradition of wearing masks dates back, they say, to Venice Carnival in the 15th century, but it's much older than that, right? I thought this was Caribbean culture. I thought we came up with these costumes to make fun of our colonizers. I didn't know we copied it from Venice Carnival. Did you? Right? It says it has been an inspiration in Greek theater, which we read about under Dionysus, and Commedia dell'arte for centuries, hundreds of years before the 15th century. So let's look a couple hundred years before. Well, over 1,000. It says Pope Gregory the Great in 590 to 604 decided that fasting would start on Ash Wednesday. The whole carnival event, 5th century BC carnival? Lent, Ash Wednesday. I thought this belonged to Caribbean people. The whole carnival event was set before the fasting to set a clear division between celebrations and penitence. Penitence is saying you're sorry for sinning. So you don't stop sinning, you go sin and say you're sorry. You go tell the priest what you did, and he forgive you for a couple dollars, you're good to go with the Most High. That's what they're advertising, right? Pure and complete lies. He also dispatched missionaries to sanctify any excesses in popular carnival customs. So the Pope sent missionaries to say, yes, 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 that's very good whining. Yes, very good drunkenness over here. Well, you're doing a bit too much, right? Yes, you stay with that goat there and the sheep. You're all right? Just as couple gold coins here, couple silver coins there. He sent missionaries to sanctify sinning. I mean, I don't know what else to say. It was also the custom during Carnival that the ruling class would be playfully mocked using masks and disguises. This is thousands of years before we ever celebrated our first Carnival. This was happening. 1,000+ years, almost 2,000. Right? Watch this. Right? So it says here, what am I doing? Sorry. While forming an integral part of the Christian calendar, particularly in Catholic regions, many carnival traditions resemble those antedating, that is, predating Christianity, right? And we looked at that earlier. We looked at the Saturnalia. We looked at the Bacchanal, which is the main one. It just has features from Saturnalia, but the Bacchanal is the main one. Now watch what they did during the Saturnalia Carnival, right? So they had different carnival going on, right? In 1466, the Catholic Church under Pope Paul II revived customs of the Saturnalia Carnival. Watch the customs. Jews were forced to race naked through the streets of the city of Rome. Jews, our people, were forced to race naked through the streets of the city of Rome for their Saturnalia carnival. Forced. Before they were to run, the Jews were richly fed so as to make the race more difficult for them and at the same time more amusing for the spectators, right? They ran amid Rome's taunting shrieks and peals of laughter. So they're laughing at them. While the Holy Father stood up upon a richly ornamented balcony and laughed heartily, and an eyewitness is the one that we have this information from. So running around naked through the streets was first forced on our people, then adopted by us in the name of freedom and equality, here in Babylon. So it was forced on us first. And then we're like, yeah, this is great. Just like we were forced to forget the law, then we forgot it willfully, and that's First Maccabees 45, right? 145, which we read, 45 to 49, right? right? We were forced into labor in Egypt, right? According to Exodus 1, 8 to 11, right? And then after we were forced, we made our own calves and worshiped them as soon as Moses left. You see the pattern? The same thing is going on today. As the Most High said, it was going to be like. He said that was going to happen. The thing that have been is now, and the Most High requireth that which is past. Right? Right? Now, there's some other information on this topic, but I think we get the point, right? Caravana is not our festival, right? Mardi Gras, which just means Fat Tuesday, is not our festival. All these things come from the Christian church, from the pre-Lent celebrations called Carnival, which means without meat, right? Their deeper origins are in the feast of Bacchus or Dionysus. And it goes all the way back to the Israelites worshiping Baal, right? Because Dionysus is Saturn, who comes from Kronos, who comes from Baal, right? So just like Christmas, this is a cleverly disguised ritual to worship idols, to break the first commandment of the Most High God. So, brothers and sisters, stay away from this thing. Encourage your family to stay away from this thing. And let's keep the commandments of the Most High, right? Be aware of the carnival deception and don't fall for it. All praise to the Most High. All praises.
All praises.
All praises.
All praises.
Any questions? Anybody have any questions or anything? No? Oh, okay. Somebody said they believe the Trinidad Carnival is in February, but I think the season starts in December. I think they start dropping soca songs and stuff like that in December. The season actually starts, which would line it up with the same carnival season that basically the Christians brought with them during colonization. I think there's one quick video I want to show. Let me see if I have it here. Which gives a good overview. Not everything they say in there is true, but it gives a good overview. Is this it? I think this is it. Is this it? Yeah, I think this is what I want. Let's see. Come on. You guys can see the screen?
No.
Okay, one second. Is this it? Well, I don't think I've seen it. System. Oh, it would be on my YouTube. Because I did watch it. But eh, who's this thing? Give me 1 second, family. Oh, yep, there we go.
From samba blocos in
You guys can see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Brazil to masked balls in Italy, Carnival is a truly global phenomenon, celebrated in over 50 countries around the world. Carnival originated as a pagan festival in ancient Egypt to usher out winter and celebrate the beginning of spring. When Alexander the Great conquered
This I can't find no direct information confirming what he said. There are like attributes that have come from ancient Egypt, but I couldn't find any information that says this thing actually came from ancient Egypt.
the ancient Greeks adopted the festival. The Romans assimilated the festival from the Greeks, and it was later overlaid with Christian meaning to become the festival of Carnevale. The word carne means meat in Latin, and vale means farewell. In the Catholic calendar, Carnevale, farewell to meat, is a feast before the fast of Lent. In 18th century Italy, people preparing for Lent would throw indulgent fancy dress parties and gorge before the fast. As Christianity spread across Europe, so too did the celebration of Carnival. Colonization exported it across the world. Portuguese colonists took Lent to the shores of Brazil, where they had also taken an estimated 4 million African slaves. Over time, European rituals fused with African ones to create Brazil's world-famous carnival. The flamboyant street parties are a celebration of Brazil's mixed heritage, and it's big business. In 2016, the city of Rio alone welcomed 1.1 million tourists during Carnival, contributing around $900 million to the city's economy. On the Caribbean island of Trinidad, the Festival of Lent was introduced by French colonists. Slaves, excluded from these celebrations, created their own parties to the soundtrack of calypso music, which mocked the French. This is now an integral part of Trinidad's carnival. In India, Carnival is only celebrated in the southern state of Goa, where Portuguese colonists ruled for over 4 centuries. Parades occur throughout the state with bands, dances, and floats. Carnival is known as Mardi Gras in the American city of New Orleans and contributes over 2% to the city's GDP. Carnival is not just a party in the sun. Quebec holds the 3rd biggest carnival celebration in the world. From humble beginnings, Carnival has become a truly global celebration, with millions of revelers all over the world contributing billions of dollars to the party.
Yes, yeah, so as we can see, the colonizers brought this thing around the world, right? With the French being the principal culprits, right? So that's where this thing is really from. So, you know, people need to stop the noise. This has nothing to do with us. That's it, family. That's it. That's all I got for you today. Everybody good though?
Yep.
All right, all right. All right, well, everybody enjoy the rest of your Sabbath. And of course, we're here, you know. Shalom. Hey, ha! That's so funny. I thought somebody was saying Shalom on the line. Jokes. That's funny. Yeah, so yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your Sabbath, and we're here, man. A phone call away, and I think we're gonna be linking up with uh, some of the, what do you call it? We're gonna be linking up with some Israelites today. So if you want to link up, just give me a shout on here. You can call me, okay? All right.
Okay.
All right. Shalom, everybody. Enjoy.
Shalom.
Shalom.
I said